Yay. Okay. So welcome everybody. Carrie Donegan, and I'm here with Denise Schwindeman. Denise, you want to say hi?
Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Excellent. Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen so you can all see that. Here we go. Okay. So tonight's topic is a really important one, I think, because how terrible to fall in love with doTERRA and essential oils, only to think of the growing popularity and the global population and wondering if it's a natural product, how in the world are we going to be able to supply every need and also keep the quality what needs to be kept. So I think it's super important. I hope that you'll find this information encouraging and exciting and something that you'll be able to easily share with other people. So tonight, what are we going to learn? We're going to learn, could you run out of oils? Is it viable? Is it a viable global solution for health issues? If there's like a major health event in the world, can we rely on essential oils to support us in any way, shape, or form? And we're going to talk a little bit about a sneak peek of what's coming down the road at the doTERRA convention in 2023 in September, which is really exciting. And if you haven't gotten your ticket and you want to watch from the comfort of your living room, you can get one of those tickets, and we will put that in the comment section tonight. So we're going to break up tonight's presentation. We're going to talk about the sustainability of essential oils, what doTERRA in particular is doing, what co-impact sourcing is. You may not know what that is, and then we'll get to our sneak peek. And for those of you who are joining us live, we have a little giveaway that we like to do at the end of every presentation. So I thought this was pretty cool. This is the world of doTERRA. So we have customers in 86 countries, which is phenomenal. And we source from 47 different countries. So why is that? Why can't we just buy a lot of land somewhere and plant seeds and just start growing things? Denise, you want to talk to that a little bit? Why don't we just do that? Why aren't there doTERRA farms? Like some companies have doTERRA farms, right?
Absolutely. I love this. I really do love this. And I love this about doTERRA because they work with growers, so multi-generational growers from all around the world, where the soil, the sunlight, the amount of rain, where the constituents that these plants have are really what we need to help us with our health, to help support our health. And so instead of growing these oils in Utah, these plants in Utah, right, where they wouldn't get those same constituents because they don't have the same land, the soil is so rich. And I find this fascinating. So what they do is they go into these countries and they work with these growers and offer them such a beautiful partnership. And that's what they really strive for, right? They strive for partnership and they want to see longevity with their relationships. So we want to source the oils or the plants to get our oils where it's most indigenously supportive to our own body. So I really love this process, and I really appreciate that doTERRA does this.
Me too. It's exciting. And then it gives us an opportunity to actually take that product and study it. So if, for example, we're looking at peppermint essential oil, you can grow peppermint in lots of different countries, in lots of different climates, in lots of different seasons. And all of those chemistries are going to be different. But if you wanted to have a medical application, there has to be some consistency. That type of testing is called pharmacokinetic studies. And up until a few years ago, this wasn't done on essential oils or natural products because it was nearly impossible to achieve without adulteration, meaning that you would take the essential oil and you would have to add a fake chemical to it, or you would have to stretch it or change it in some way that it's no longer a natural product. But what doTERRA has decided to do is take all of the information they've used and studied and accumulated over several years, and in that database, look at what is the ideal chemistry in a particular plant like peppermint. And can we source it from multiple parts of the world? And by combining plant material from different parts of the world, can we get consistent chemistry? And that is what doTERRA is working towards. Now, is this true of all the essential oils that we offer right now? No. Some essential oils are what we call single batch oils. They come, for example, lemon just comes from the beautiful place in Sicily. It's not lemons from all over the world, and they're not testing it for, exact amounts of limonene necessarily. But something like peppermint is, something like lavender is, something I think eucalyptus is now, thyme oil is now. These are combination oils, even though they're single plants, their actual chemistry is stable because they can, add a little bit more from Bulgaria in one batch and a little bit more from France in another batch and a little bit more from Canada in another batch. And this is what makes it possible for hospitals to say, you know what, we trust doTERRA to do what it says it's going to do. Jan, do you want to jump in? Oh, I think I have to.
I was able to. Thank you. Is one of the reasons they don't do something like lemon, Carrie, because it's volatile and it's cold pressed, and therefore, like, it might be a little bit harder to control the chemistry than it is for something that is steam distilled?
Well, certainly it has a shorter shelf life, right? What we've learned about pressed essential oils is that you really want to use them within 2 to 3 years, whereas something that steam distills has a much longer shelf life. It's a really good question, Jan. I don't have an exact answer for it, but you bring up an excellent point. I do know that this process of pharmacokinetic studies is a rollout, right? So I think frankincense is in there. Now that I'm thinking about it, I believe copaiba is, a combination of many different species of copaiba to reach a particular chemistry. So would be great questions to ask during the fall convention.
Thanks.
Good question. Thank you. Okay. So once you get all your oils sourced, right, and you find the perfect country and the perfect soil and the perfect oil with the perfect chemistry, how do you get them everywhere from Utah? Because one of the things that happens is that all the oil plant material gets distilled in country. Then it gets shipped to Utah, where there's a bottling factory or plant. And what's interesting is several times during that process, we do tests to make sure that oil stays pure, pesticide free, that it meets organic standards or above organic standards. So there's all kinds of things that doTERRA constantly tests for. I believe there's 7 points of testing along the way. But we have a brand new bottling plant in Cork, Ireland, which is making it easy for doTERRA to actually divide the world in half and be able to supply and store these oils faster. So I think that is really exciting. That's been going on for 2 years. Another part of sustainability talks about packaging, right? Because what's so great about being part of a natural company if all you're doing is, accumulating small bottles that are made of plastic or things that are not easily recycled. So doTERRA is moving their all of their packaging and all of their bottling to things that are really, really easy to recycle, easy to renew, and easy on the earth. And so I love, one of the things that's coming is our plastic bottles are turning into aluminum bottles. And aluminum is actually something that is really, really gentle on the environment and easy to recycle.
And what a sexy look.
It is, right? Oh, let's go back and just take a moment to look at the bottle. It's pretty.
Beautiful. Yeah. It's beautiful.
I love that. And just to highlight the slide, I didn't get to read the slide. I guess I should. It says it removes 2.2 million single-use plastic bottles from supply chain every year and lowers our CO2 emissions because we avoid shipping hundreds of tons of water. So that's cool. Anytime you get a concentrate, you reduce your CO2 emissions, which is important. The other thing they're doing is they've reduced their cardboard load by 40%. And that's a big deal too. I don't know about you, but I'm a stickler for recycling my cardboard, and I rip off the labels and I break boxes all down and I take them, to the recycle center. But I wish I didn't have to, right? I wish those boxes could get smaller and smaller and smaller. And doTERRA is doing that. And I remember when I first got to doTERRA, how much packing material we had, and they've done such a great job reducing that. They've actually reduced that waste by 170,000 pounds, which is amazing.
Right.
Now, this is pretty cool. A few years ago, I was able to join a planting trip. I went to Hawaii with my husband, and we got to plant ylang-ylang trees and sandalwood trees in Hawaii. And this is something you could do as a customer in doTERRA. If you want to go plant trees or plant plants, you can go on these trips. They're called sourcing trips, and you can really, really see what's going on. You can talk to the local people. It's not something that they're trying to hide some big, corporate conglomerate, machine. It's really very person to person in the way that our oils are sourced. So for every tree we harvest, we plant 120 more. How's that amazing? So like, if you're worried about, is my favorite essential oil going to run out someday? No, it really isn't, because doTERRA is going above and beyond to make sure that the supply grows, and that every person in the world, if they want essential oils, high quality essential oils, can get them. And then a couple of years ago, we started something called the Impact Report, which I really, really love. And this gives you an idea of what you're spending and how it ripples, right? So I might buy this bottle of MetaPower, my favorite oil right now, and I think, oh, this is so great for me, right? This is doing wonderful things for me. It's helping me burn fat, and it's helping me tighten my skin, and it's helping me cut my cravings, me. But what's really rippling from the purchase of this bottle is so much more impactful than what is amazing and what I love about the essential oils. And that is the number of people that are affected by every bottle and every drop of essential oil that we produce and that we purchase. So I loved this. This is such a beautiful picture. This is from the Impact Report. It says demand quality, not just in the products you buy, but in the life of the person who made it. Right? So isn't that beautiful?
Beautiful. Yeah. And doTERRA does a really good job at that, Carrie. I love even just meeting and talking to some of the growers that they bring to convention, because you actually get a chance to talk to them, and they impact their lives greatly. It's very cool.
And I know the first time I saw the growers at a convention, and some of them came from very, very small towns and remote places in the world. And you would sit down with an interpreter sometimes and talk to them, and they just had no idea how many people bought doTERRA oils. Like, they see things right from their own vantage point. And then to go to convention with thousands of people from all over the world, and to be able to interface with them and to hear their end of the story, how their children are healthier and how their parents are, living pain-free, and how they themselves are living vital, happy lives. Like, you could see how surprised they were as well, right? So it was a really cool, interchange, which without convention, we wouldn't get that, right? How would we actually interact with all those growers if we didn't have a doTERRA convention?
No, but also to hear how generationally families are able to stay together if they choose and work, and not have to leave their towns and go to big cities to work and send back money is fantastic.
Agreed. And I love this side of the story too. And one of my favorite quotes of all time is from Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers and His Neighborhood. When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. So doTERRA is not only helping the community, supporting multi-generational growers, helping all of us who purchased the product, but there is a whole humanitarian arm of doTERRA called Healing Hands that is going out and dealing with some of the world's most stark and heartbreaking problems, whether it's disaster relief or it's child sex trafficking, or it's trying to bring clean drinking water to places in the world without it. There's so many projects. So I would recommend that you go on the Healing Hands website. This is just one photo. It's, you know, horrific, heartbreaking. We have a group of people on our team from the Ukraine who have, you know, been living with this war. My sister-in-law is Ukrainian. It's been devastating for the Russian people. It's been devastating for the Ukrainian people. And doTERRA's been on the ground pretty much since day one, trying to help and to be a force for good. And I have to say, at the beginning, they got some really bad press for, you know, sticking with the people and doing the work, and everybody, you know, wanted to throw mud, but they didn't really care. They were just in there doing the job that they knew that they had to do. So I applaud doTERRA for having that kind of courage too, and not buckling under, you know, people's social media, you know, posts or public, you know, misunderstandings and things of that nature. And to demonstrate kind of what a ripple looks like, we have this co-impact sourcing diagram, which talks about, you know, we have 1.2 million people empowered with sourcing jobs, right? That's just people who get hired in countries where unemployment is super high or education might be low. We have 3 million lives supported by sourcing jobs, which means that, you know, it might not just be that person that is actually employed, but their family member, their child, right? So it in fact affects the whole family. 5.8 million lives are improved through the social impact projects, right? We were just talking about that. 360,903 people were empowered by additional planting jobs, you know, so the ripple effect goes on and on and on and on. And you can see they have big goals for 2030. They're looking to improve those numbers, you know, in the millions, right? More, you know, multiply those by the millions. And when we look at the partners, you know, I think sometimes we think these individuals are going to be like very slick business people or high level government officials. But when you go into these farms, you just see these people are just, you know, everyday ordinary people just like us. And they have families and they have goals and dreams and they have history and they have, you know, beautiful stories about their lineage and their farms and their heritage. And it really is an amazing opportunity if you ever get a chance. This is a farmer in Kenya. I just love his smile, and you can see that he's, you know, grateful and happy for being part of this too.
It's in his eyes.
Yeah. And, you know, it's sometimes I look at these pictures and I'm like, you're standing opposite Emily Wright, aren't you? When they take this picture, because you just know, like, Emily Wright's one of the owners of doTERRA. And if you're ever in her presence, it's like you can't help but smile. And she hugs you, whether it's physically or virtually or with her eyes or with her smile. She's just one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met.
Agreed.
And so we have a significant, you know, reach in the world, and we want you to be able to be part of that. So we will stick around tonight, and you can ask more questions about co-impact sourcing. You can ask about different countries. You know, like if you want to support Kenya, then you might want to buy pink pepper. And if you want to support Guatemala, then buy cardamom. Or if you want to support Haiti, then buy vetiver, right? So if you learn where your favorite oils come from, or you have favorite countries that you want to actually support, but maybe it's not in your budget necessarily to write a big check to a certain charity, just purchasing a bottle of oil from that country is helping them out. And so there's lots of ways for us to participate in that global good. But there's another meaning to this slide. Does anyone want to take a guess what we're going to talk about next? Denise.
I'm sure that's directed to you guys and not me.
but you could answer if you wanted.
I would either say our cellular health
Okay.
or how we connect to other human beings. Maybe it's immunity.
All right. So that's a perfect description. Anybody else want to take a guess? I don't know. Should I be reading the chat? Let me look in the chat.
No, I don't see anything. Cells.
Cells?
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, and Jan, I just want to read your comment. You love that doTERRA works with female farmers and pickers too. I do too. Like in Nepal, the women that gather the wintergreen. I think that's so amazing. Yeah. I'm glad you pointed that out. Thank you. Really cool.
And the jasmine pickers?
The jasmine pickers in India.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
To
amazing. Beautiful. Intense work.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful to watch them.
Yeah, intense work.
And
All right.
And an oil you mentioned earlier, which is pink pepper.
Yes, pink pepper is picked by women primarily. So another really good one. And pink pepper is one of those breast health essential oils that you could be using every day. So it's, women for women, by women. Really, really nice. Really nice story there. But we're learning something now, which is pretty exciting, that we hope that you'll jump on board and learn with us. And this is something that has been about 20 years in focus, but it's becoming into sharper and sharper focus. And that is something called the microbiome. And so this illustration is supposed to show us this invisible world that lives in, on, and around our being, and that is a invisible world of microbes. And believe it or not, on your body there are about 70, I think it's trillion, am I getting that right, Denise? 70 trillion cells?
Trillion. Yep.
Yes. So 70 trillion cells. I've heard up to 100 trillion, but let's go with 70. Half of those cells are microbes. So basically these almost, I'm going to call them parasites, that are living around us. And we've done not so many great things to our microbiome because we've always been focused on our human cells, right? So when you go to the doctor will check out your liver, he'll check out your heart, he'll do a colonoscopy, you can get a vaginal exam, you can get your throat checked, your eyes checked, your ears checked, right? But we're not reading this whole other world that lives in, on, and around us called your microbiome. And it's super important that we learn about it because we made a few mistakes along the way. And this is what's kind of coming out. For example, too many antibiotics are actually killing our microbiome. And that's destroying our gut-brain axis. That's destroying our ability to make certain feel-good hormones like dopamine and serotonin. We know that, a lot of depression and anxiety is on the rise, and they're saying, maybe it's because people are not thinking about their microbiome. And so doTERRA is going full force into this world of microbiome health, and that's going to be the focus of the 2023 convention. So I highly, highly, highly recommend you get this very inexpensive ticket. It's virtual, or if you want to, just grab a plane and go to Utah and enjoy the convention face to face. It's so much more rewarding there. And Salt Lake City is a super fun place to go to in any case. But if you can't travel, get the get the virtual ticket, because you can watch it live or you can watch it in the recording. And I think we're going to start to jump into this in a big way. And so actually this was from last week. I did not replace this date, but next Thursday, we're going to kick this off with talking about the gut-brain immune axis. And I just wanted to show some books that doTERRA is recommending. And the books are, oops, I'm going to close this. Okay, the first book that was recommended actually is called The Paleo Vedic Diet. Okay, it's written by a doctor of Indian heritage, And it's very interesting. I have to say personally, I've read through most of it. I also believe that your heritage does play a role in your DNA, does play a role in the way you eat and how you digest foods. And it's good for you to get your genetics tested. It's good for you to get your blood tested so you know what foods and what environment and what exercise is best for you. I think this tends to be focused on a South Asian population, but having said this, there's tons of information in here that's great. And there's also a microbiome test that he gives you. So I got this from the library. I would recommend it. He also wrote a book called The Tiger Protocol. And this is also great because it's a little bit broader. So TIGER stands for 5 different things. I'll give you the first one is T for toxins. So, I think is immunity, and it talks about food sensitivities, tools for optimization. So also an excellent read. Not quite finished with that one yet. Also the gut mind connection, which I will have this one finished in time for our presentation next week. So I can help give that kind of the highlights of this book in case you're thinking of reading it. And then the last one, which may be the most important, is The Secret Life of Your Microbiome. And Denise, I think we were talking about maybe doing a little book club on this one, right?
Yeah, picking one of the books and doing a book club and reading it together and really learning. I think it's more fun because some of these books, I love science and so does Carrie, but you can get a little lost in the minutia. I think if we're reading it together, we can go through that and kind of make it more interesting and more applicable to your health.
Absolutely. So yes, I will put all the titles in the chat. I'm gonna take us offline now so that we can do the Q&A and give away the prizes. So just give me 1 minute. And thanks to all of you for joining live. And if you're watching this in the recording, we appreciate you and hope we'll see you next week as well. So let's stop the recording.